the biggest threat to America is not Al-Qaeda, it's not ISIS, it's not Putin, it's not any of these guys, it's China. You really believe that?
I believe it. I think it's the most consequential, existential threat. From 2011 to 2013, they poured more concrete than we did in the entire 20th century.
Is that a factual statement?
That's a factual statement. They had 100 years of bad luck and now they're back on top. They are still, in their minds, perfecting their ability to control people. At any moment, this thing could become unraveled.
Who are you more concerned about, the totalitarian regime or the large technology company?
Today, they have the same business model.
Really? You're talking about having to change a lot of things for us to move forward.
No. What you can criticize is the policies of the government that allowed for the behavior to occur in the first place.
That's a strong statement, Stu.
Not only can you not opt out, you don't know who owns the data. Everything that you do can be watched.
Is it political? To me, it's not political.
It's not about quid pro quo. It's about adopting Xi Jinping's worldview. There is terabytes and terabytes of data that's created about you, and you have no control over it.
All right, today I have a special guest, General Robert Spalding, who wrote a book called Stealth War: How China Took Over While America's Elite Slept. He was the former senior director of strategy at the National Security Council when I think Trump tweeted out something in 2014. And he said, remember, China is not our friends or not our ally. And he got like 300 retweets. It wasn't something big. He tweeted this back in 2014 or 2015. And then all of a sudden, one day, everybody in the news is talking about 5G. And prior to that day, we weren't really talking about it. And all of a sudden, hey, we got to be the leader in 5G. I'm like, 5G? So I'm going to start looking at 5G. Okay, 1G, 2G, 3G. 1G is the regular phone back in the days. 2G is whatever. 3G is the iPhone, and then 4G is the latest phone. And then now 5G is going to be changing the game. And most people go to, well, 5G is just a faster phone, right? Because that's what initially, we've always seen the G linked to a phone. Oh my gosh, I can download a movie in 3.6 seconds now on Netflix, a 2-hour movie, where before it was 3 minutes or 6 minutes, whatever, right? When you think about 5G, what do you think about of 5G and the capabilities and what it can really do to whoever that has access to it?
That's a good question. So if you go back to 2007, when the iPhone came out.
2007.
The top 5 in market cap were AT&T, General Electric, Microsoft, ExxonMobil, and Shell. Right? The phone comes out in 2007. I had one, 3G network. It's not a very good experience. 4G network comes out. By the way, we're the second country in the world to build a 4G network. Now you've got something, right? So when Steve Ballmer laughed at Steve Jobs, said, we don't need one of those. When you took the platform, which was the iPhone, and you married it up to the 4G network, which was the pipe for data, and it was a fast enough pipe, now you could create the apps, services, and business models that in 10 years led to the top 5 in market cap being Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, and Microsoft, right? So the Chinese see this and they're like, the platform and the pipe. So the smartphone, this iPhone, which was the first one, then Android. So Apple and Google, right, dominate the mobile platform that the app services and business models of that economy are built on. Now look at the iPhone. It's a hardware, software, tightly integrated, closed-walled system like Steve Jobs liked, and the data was encrypted. Why was the data encrypted? Why did San Bernardino happen? Because Apple's an American company, right? They know you want privacy. They encrypt their phone. So now you've got the platform, and Android also went on to encrypt their platform. So both encrypted, right? So private devices. Take the cloud away from it. Just look at the device itself.
Sure.
It's meant to be a private device. Right. Why? It's American product. Fast forward, to 2009. China starts to look at that. Says, okay, we want to dominate the next level, right? Not just the technology. We want the apps, services, and business models to be Chinese companies. And so Huawei gets hundreds of billions of dollars to develop 5G and ZTE. But then you have Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. So they're behind the Chinese firewall. They're protected. You can't have the fangs going in there. It's just the bats that control the e-economy within China. And then you start, at the same time you're developing 5G, right, the platform, and I'll get to that in a second, but you're also developing Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. So now when you walk into, and you're starting to see the emergence of the 5G world in China. So you walk into a restaurant after you've ordered your food, and a camera picks you up and you say, hey, David, welcome, here's your food, right? So you're starting to get the feel of what a 5G world is. And what is a 5G world? The platform is the network. So this is mobile computing paired with a pipe. 5G is computing and networking combined on the same platform. So this goes away. You walk outside your door and you say Uber. You don't get on your phone and say, I want an Uber. You just say Uber. Camera picks up your face or a microphone picks up you.
Come on.
That's what 5G is. That's what 5G is. And then the Uber shows up. There's a camera on the car that sees you, knows who you are, don't have to ask you your name. You get in and you go to wherever you want. You get out and you go do whatever you want. So in this world, in the 4G world, this is a platform. It's yours, right? You don't want to be part of that, all of that data. Remember we just talked about how do you influence society? You don't want all that data to be out there about what you're doing. Just don't carry one of these, right? Just opt out. In a 5G world, you cannot opt out. Who owns the data? This, you could conceivably say, you lease the data on here you own. If you're getting Google services, you don't own that data. But in the 5G world, not only can you not opt out because it's built around the city, it's not in your phone anymore. Not only can you not opt out, you don't know who owns the data. Everything that you do can be watched. And for every person by 2022, there's going to be, there's 2 cameras for every person. There's two people for every camera in China by 2022.
They have 1 billion right now on surveillance.
Right,
A billion cameras in China right now.
With artificial intelligence for facial recognition, right? So all of this is getting built right now in China. And who's helping them do it? Microsoft, Google, right? All of these companies that want to deploy this world into our country. So Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. That's where the world goes. It goes from 2007, AT&T, GE, and Microsoft to the FANGs to the BATs, right? Who owns the pipes? Me as a B2 guy, the first thing I look at in the country is where's telecommunications. Got to take that out, number one. But if rather instead of taking it out, you own or control it, so Huawei builds the pipes, then because you're behind the Great Firewall, you've built the app services and business models of the 5G world. And you're, like I said, you're already starting to see that. You know, where your facial recognition is built into your interaction when you go into a restaurant or when you go into a store or when you go into a bank. You know, everything's about, you know, the device is connected. Then as you build the network, then those proliferate. So 4G network, 10,000 devices per square mile. 5G network, 3 million devices per square mile. You're not going to carry 12 smartphones. You may not even carry a smartphone.
10,000 to 3 million?
10,000 to 3 million. That's what 5G does. The connectivity explodes, right? So that allows you to put devices literally everywhere that can make your life more convenient or can track you. There's a bike in DC. It's called Mobike. Have you seen these things? They're silver and orange. Look out for them next time you're in DC. They're silver and orange, called Mobike. They had them when I was in 2016 when I get to Beijing. You take your phone, and by the way, I took a phone, right, a phone that I threw away when I got home, and I had said,
You threw it away when you got home.
I threw it away when I got home. Load all the apps on it that a Chinese person has so I can understand what they do. You never have to carry a wallet. You never have to carry a key. It's all done on your phone. You can pay anybody, anywhere for anything, and they do. 900 people are on WeChat, and they spend 90% of their time in app doing things, or ordering airline tickets, buying food, whatever you want. You can have anything you want.
900 people or 900 million?
900 million people. Okay, so let me explain to you how effective what they built is. I have one of the guys working for me on one of these Mobikes. Now, the Mobike it's just parked there in the street with a lock on it. You go over, you hit a QR code on your phone, it unlocks the bike, you get on it, you ride it, and you lock the bike. Okay, so where does that data go? They know it's you. You got on that bike, you went 2 locations, okay, or you went to a location, so that data is available. So I have one of my guys, he gets on a Mobike, rides somewhere, has his iPad in the basket, gets off the bike, comes back to the embassy, and realizes, I forgot my iPad. Goes into the regional security office and says, I forgot my iPad and my bike. Calls the local public security bureau, and those guys call the guy that's got his iPad on his phone, on his cell phone, and say, can you bring the iPad back to the embassy? That's how wired Beijing is right now.
Because the news has been telling us that the cases are dropping massively in China, that Singapore has it under control. I read a whole article last night about how they're tracking everyone with their technology. They're using their mobile phones to find out who they had contact with, hunting those people down and quarantining them. And now they are saying it's a success. South Korea cases dropped, Chinese cases dropped. But they're also saying the Western civilization would never allow this type of intrusive stuff into their information.
Oh my God.
What do you see, David?
No, just let me just intervene there for a second.
Okay.
You have just said, virtually word for word, what was in the Rockefeller Foundation document in 2010 detailing a pandemic scenario based on a flu vaccine. They said, I think I mentioned it kind of in passing earlier, they said China imposed draconian measures and was then praised for doing so, but the West lagged behind because of this thing called freedom and democracy. And but eventually the West caught up and became also draconian. So it's deja vu from the Rockefeller document and from the Event 201 of the Gates Foundation and the World Economic Forum 1%. It's a scenario. It's a script,
And
Brian.
So, yes, I understand what you're saying. So people that don't know, what is this technology in China? Explain how it works and how they track people and how it's become surprisingly even more draconian than it was, because I don't think a lot of people know this.
Well, I've been saying for decades, if you want to know what is planned for the West tomorrow, look at China today. It's no accident that China is right at the center of this whole outbreak, which has gone on to create all this. This is how it works in China. They have millions of face recognition cameras in their cities, gathering in number all the time. And so as you're walking down the street, you are able to be tracked and identified literally in minutes. There have been documentaries that have put someone on the street, and the technology has been challenged to track them and find them. It's taken minutes, gotcha. And so what they're doing, and remember, this is what's planned for the West, and this is why the crazies and the psychopaths in Silicon Valley are so close to China, if the truth be told. You are so tracked in detail in China that they know everything you do all the time, and AI is logging your behavior. And they have something called the social credit system. And when you act in ways that are acceptable to the state, you get credits, social credits. When you act in ways that the state doesn't want you to behave, you get credits taken away. And when you fall below a certain level, consequences kick in. How many people know that millions of Chinese people have been banned from flying? Millions of Chinese people have been banned from going on trains because their social credit score has fallen below the acceptable level. And this is what is possible once you have AI able to track you in detail, minute by minute, in real time, which is what they have in China. What is China? It's a technocracy. That's what it is. And if you look at China today, that's supposed to be the world tomorrow. Because this economic, viral, whatever you want to call it, war, for want of a term, China's meant to win it. And I don't mean the Chinese regime, and I certainly don't mean the Chinese people. I mean the Chinese model.